Hi everyone, how are we all doing? Impromptu stream because we had a slightly impromptu release. We were all taking bets on when Gemini 3 would come out. We knew it would be this week, but so today's a Tuesday and we've got a stream. So I hope you're all doing well. I've got open here the Gemini models. This is 2.5, and if you basically, I just typed in Gemini 3 documentation, and this was what came up about Gemini 3 Pro. So the Pro preview model is available on Google AI Studio if you have an API key for that, and it's now available on OpenRouter, I believe. So you should all be able to test things out now. This is Google's best model in the world, apparently. So I think they'll say that about every new model that comes out. But it's got a 1 million token input. So it means it can read a lot of stuff. We'll see how well it can do with that token input, of course, because a lot of models, whilst they can read a million tokens, they don't necessarily retain anything or be able to use that information. There's like a limit to how much realistic token input we can do. And a 65,000 output. Scrolling down, this seems to be about the same as Gemini 2.5 Pro, so that's fine. The knowledge cutoff is January of this year compared to January of this year. So on the surface, it's like, okay, we'll see how this goes. But we're excited. Always love a new model coming out. Now available via OpenRouter. It is a teensy bit more expensive than Gemini 2.5. It's instead of a $10 $10 per million token output that 2.5 Pro had, it's now $12. So it kind of puts it more like nearer to like Sonnet and stuff, but if it's worth it, if it does what we need it to do and does it better than 2.5, then that might be worth the cost. We'll have to see. From our very limited tests in 1990s London, it knows its geography. At least around London, down to specific street names and routes. So that will be exciting to see. We're going to specify location in our story to try and get a better idea of this as a result. It picked up on context quite well, even within through a 30k story. We seem to like get a good breadth of the context, so we're going to push that a little bit further as well. And we saw that there were less AI-isms when it came to names, although we did still get a thorn. So I mean, it's a cool name, so swings and roundabouts, all that. In the documentation, there are currently 2 thinking modes, high and low. Medium is going to come later. Novelcrafter defaults to whatever the router uses. So if you're using OpenRouter, it will be high thinking. And if you're using Google AI Studio, that will also be the high thinking at the moment. It also, from the documentation, we currently, so for Gemini 3, we strongly recommend keeping the temperature parameter at its default of 1. So if you're going to mess around with any settings, leave temperature alone for the best results. And that is my pre-stream notes. So as I do these model comparison streams, I'm trying to get a flow that works for me and works for you. So, it's not always there's kind of that balance of being both entertaining and having accurate tests that are the same. And I'm kind of like, I think my science brain is trying too much to do that. So what we're going to try today is we've got some prompts and we're going to try and like vibe write a story using Gemini 3, see how quickly this goes. So if I go into my prompts, I'm going to go to my new model tests. Gemini 3 isn't currently in the default chats. So I'm going to go add model. I have clicked on the model. I'm going to type in Gemini 3, and then go to I don't know what the difference is between these. They both say that. So I'm just gonna go for the top one. Gemini 3 Pro Preview. I'm just gonna get rid of the preview. I don't need to know that it's a preview model. Okay, we have our Gemini 3 Pro. I know that it's being routed through Google's system rather than OpenRouter because of this. Okay. Let me make my large. Okay. So, does anyone have any questions, I guess, as well? Like, if you've got any questions about what I'm doing or any of the tests or the model, just let me know. If there's anything in particular you want me to test as well, also let me know because I'm kind of doing this on the fly. If there's anything that we want to do, we can just, go off and do it. So, okay. So we have our new model tests. I'm then going to go straight into chat. I have taken my AI-isms codex entry in advance and added this in here. And I've also made a Gemini-isms codex entry. This is based from eqbench.com. And that's they do creative writing benchmarks, and so these were like some of the common words that the Gemini models. I was looking at Gemini 2.5 to look at like the different variants to see what words came up. I'm still in the process of making this because the model got released half an hour ago, so I've not finished making all my codices and stuff. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna write a cozy fantasy as well. I've got a snippet here with my prompts, so I'm just gonna pin that to the side, and then I'm gonna start a new chat. It's going to be a general purpose chat, and I'm going to go down to Gemini 3 Pro. So that I remember which this is, Gemini 3 Pro. And I'm going to start off with my first prompt. Come up with 25 unique story pitches about a woman who can shapeshift. I want it to be set in Fife, Scotland, because that's somewhere I have a vague geographical knowledge of. And I think having seaside, East Coast, Scotland, charming vibes that aren't normally in like a cozy fantasy. Normally we're more English based. So, and then I said that it's a cozy fantasy. So yeah, let's give this a go. Obviously, there is some thinking, so we're waiting. Stefan says, suggestion for a future series, how to use Novelcrafter and different models for translating and or localizing fiction models. By localizing, do you mean like going from US to UK? Or do you mean like something else? Just out of curiosity. I would be very interested to see how translation goes. I think we'd probably need someone who spoke another language natively, maybe like do a joint stream. Because I personally do not speak a second language well enough. My Polish is not good enough to be able to yeah. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, I already recognize some of these places, so it's just nice, cozy vibes. Okay, I'm excited. So we're also looking at as names as well to see if there are any AIisms, that kind of thing. I have a codex that I've started making for overused names. So if anyone has any overused names, feel free to just like chuck them at me and I can add them in. So Space is saying, I wonder how Gemini 3 does a translation now. Maybe you can go and find out while we're doing our fiction and then come back to us, at least about German. Okay, so the Pittenweem Puffin. Elspeth runs a fish and chip shop in Pittenweem. She secretly turns into a puffin to catch the freshest fish herself. The conflict starts when a handsome bird watcher comes to town and becomes obsessed with spotting the unusually large puffin that hangs around the harbour. Okay, that's adorable. I like the name as well, the Pittenweem Puffin. St. Andrew's Caddy. A young woman works as a golf caddy at the old course. She can turn into a fox. She uses this ability to find lost balls and nudge putts into the holes for nice tourists while hindering the rude ones. Funny, but the old course are gonna notice if there's a fox on thingy. Like a mouse, maybe, but like the old course is far too open for a fox to work. Okay, the wool gatherer. In the Lomond Hills, a woman runs a high-end yarn business. She turns into a sheep to mix with local flocks and find out exactly which patch of grass produces the softest wool. She has to hide a secret when a shearer falls in love with her human form. Oh wow, okay. The library mouse. The head librarian at the University of St Andrews can turn into a mouse. She uses this form to squeeze into the restricted sections and dust behind the ancient bookshelves. Trouble arises when a new cat comes to live on campus. Okay, I mean, I could already see if we're doing this as a romance, the cat being like love interest. Yeah, Alaric comes up a lot. Silas as well, which is kind of annoying. I like the name Silas. Um, I mean, I'm liking all these pictures. I feel like these pictures do give me cozy fantasy vibes. Um, so let's see. Are there any which story is sparking joy with me? Oh, that's cute. An artist in Crayon makes pottery with unique scratch patterns. She actually turns into a cat and uses her claws to make the designs. She has to scramble to fulfill a massive order for a royal wedding while trying not to nap in the sunbeams. That's cute. What's a gannet? One minute. I mean, I'm assuming it's a bird and not a gnat. Oh, they're gorgeous. Um, the Highland cow. Where's the Highland cow? Uh, where have I missed that, or is it? Oh, the cow of Kirkcaldy. Oh, the cow of Cooper. A stressed accountant moves to the countryside near Cooper. She discovers she can turn into a Highland cow. She spends her weakness standing in field chewing grass to relax until she accidentally wins Best in Show at the Fife Agricultural Show. Okay, I kind of like that. That is hilarious. She opened the shop to stop herself from eating all her own stock. Oh, oh, the tea room spy. That. Oh my god, there are so many ideas that I want to write now. Um, oh, professional dog walker turns into a border collie to keep the pack in line. Oh, oh my god, what guys? What do I write? What do we write? Oh my god. Oh, the berry picker is cute. Um, Oh my the retirement plan, that is so funny. If I wasn't doing a romance, I would absolutely do that. Although why can't an old woman have a romance? But I feel like there'd be too many characters. Um, oh my god, okay. Okay, I do like the answer for the artist kind of works. Roll a D20. Oh my god, yeah, because it's 25 pitches. Okay, let me I don't think I have a D20 on me, damn it. Um, no. Okay, let me just on my phone. D25 roll. Okay, we ready? Okay, I'm pressing roll. Okay, I got a 17. So 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. The bridge builder. Yeah, Google is a. Mm, I mean, the lighthouse keeper kind of. I know I'm now looking at. I was rolling. I was like, oh, but I kind of like some of the others. Oh, I mean, I like the Pit and Ween Puffin. We're gonna have to do the Pit and Ween Puffin. So yeah. I love the name Elspeth as well. Um, it's cute. Okay, so now this next test is to see, does it understand the romancing the beat? We're kind of looking. Dylan likes the cow. I mean, the Highland cow was a close second. But I like how this kind of had a more of a romance angle to start with. So yeah. So we're now going to see how this goes, just the idea of the story. So we're saying that it should be a 24 chapter novella for about 30 to 40,000 words. It should be standalone and for the Kindle crowd. The Pit and Ween Puffin focuses on Elspeth and Arthur the Birdwatcher. Okay, I like that. Arthur feels like a good name. Like it's not. It doesn't feel like it feels fresh. Those names both feel fresh to me. Maybe they're highly AIism for Gemini 3, but they feel fresh for me. I mean, Fife does have a lot in Anstruther. I don't know if in Pit and Ween they have. Now I need to see. Pit and, because I've had some Pit and Weem fish and chips. There's so there's Pit and Weem fish bar. There's Chip Ahoy. I think I've been to both of those. Let me have a look on Google Maps. Um, yeah, I've stayed in Pit and Weem. It's a very pretty little town. Like it's very nice. Um, okay, so Ovi says, why do you think these models are so bad at storytelling while improving immensely in other aspects? Um, because they're being trained for like coding and like medical uses, and it's the where big business is wanting the uses. That's my opinion anyway. Like you're making a tool that is for a specific market, and that market's not writers. We're kind of like I guess we're a byproduct of it. Like I always think of it how paints in the paint industry, pigments are manufactured for car making, for car paint. And so if a car color goes out of fashion, then artist pigments will then dry up because there's no one making it. Like it's not um there's not economical enough to make it. So I think it's the same for that. Like the priority is not on creative writing, it's on analyzing, doing coding, kind of things that are a lot less subjective, I guess. That would be my thought. And also like there's so much writing out there that to curate a good writing um, would require a lot of specialization, I think. Um, Gemini 3 Spacer seems to be less meh. High praise. Okay. So in this phase one setup, we're going to meet Elspeth and Arthur. Central problem is introduced. Her best fish and chips in Fife shop. Okay. So I think one thing I want is I need a pun name for this fish and chip shop, maybe involving a puffin. So I'm going to say, great. Can we have a pun-based name for this fictional fish and chip shop? Maybe involving, what is her shifting form? A puffin. Let's brainstorm a few. The best puffin fish in Fife. Yeah? That could work. So we're establishing a routine. She's proud of her quality control. Outsider arrives, introduce Arthur, a clumsy and somewhat clumsy but handsome academic from Edinburgh. He arrives in Pitween with big binoculars and a heavy camera. He's heard rumors of the giant puffin. Okay. Oh, that's adorable. Okay, I'm kind of liking this. This meet cute. He's excited to show her. Um, I'm guessing that he's just latched on to the cutest girl he's seen. He's like, "Oh my god, you like fish? I like bird catching fish." She takes into place suspicion is there are no puffins. They burned over love. Okay. Oh, okay. That is adorable. Okay, I'm liking this story. I think this could work. We can make this work. Um, um, I like it. She plans to close the shop and move to the Highlands. He holds a bag of frozen peas for a bruised ankle. Oh, okay. This is adorable. I mean, like, I feel like obviously that is not an entire chapter, but we can forgive it. Like, this would all be, the grand gesture and the resolution. We can put this in. Okay, I now want to see how it does with that. Also, we want to get a theme. I'm just going to do them both in the same task. Okay, keep the momentum going, Kate. Have some tea. That's a very cute story. Like, I think that feels very much like a nice little novella. Puffin for chips. Oh, Puffin and Puffin, the beacon batter, fish and chirps, the Puffin fryer, sea puffin eat, feather and fin, the diving catch, chip off the old block, the flighty fillet. I like Puffin for chips. So Ovi says, I find these models really love to rush through the plot. They don't have the patience required to establish scenes. It's like they're speed writing a 100-page novel with very short chapters. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a little snippet just with key things. Uh, oh, Gemini 3 key. So this is also using innate Gemini knowledge. It's not using I'm not giving it anything. So I'm just gonna put these things down. I would probably feed it like a bit more. And we can try asking it um, let's not rush through the plot and flesh out each scene a bit more. We could do that. Okay, so option one, vulnerability. To find love, you must stop hiding who you really are. Elspeth's weakness, hiding. She literally wears a disguise and hides her true nature. She keeps um nature versus industry. I mean, I feel like the vulnerability is probably the theme. Yeah. True connection requires being seen. Okay. Let's go. Let's make our theme entry. So I'll go into the codex. I'm going to go new entry, other story theme, and then put this here. I'm going to use actually the prompt just to give context. The theme of our story is, and then I'll put this as a quote. And let's see. This is great. Let's now concept 10, 7 other characters that might be in the book, and then flesh out each scene. Each chapter. We want to be patient and not rush the reader, making sure we establish each scene. Each chapter will be around 1,500 to 2,000 words, so needs enough to fill that out. So we're going to give it a go. Try and use a little bit of gentle prompting to flesh out each chapter. I don't know how well this will work. We're just giving it a go. We're trying with Gemini 3, giving it, that little bit of extra oomph. I'm kind of excited. How are you all finding this? Are you enjoying seeing the story develop? What do you think of Gemini 3 so far? Like, okay, I like the idea of Maisie, or Gen Z shop assistant. She dyes her hair different neon color every week. She's obsessed with making viral. Okay, I like these. I think these are cool. Um, okay, I like this. I think I like those characters. So I'm gonna add these characters as just as in a codex entry. So what my idea is that I'm going to um shop. I'm gonna make a yeah, just add in this as the context because I want to use this novel for comparing like all my different tests. So I don't want to actually add in a codex. Um Protagonist, Elspeth, love interest. I can't remember his name. Arthur. Okay. Okay, I like that. I think that is a nice focus. Okay. Arthur rival. Via her bird vision. Okay. Let's just go to the end and see where that because that was like the bit that was a little bit. Okay, I like that. He leaves the gift on the side. He makes that gesture. She doesn't actually. I would still probably merge these. Like, I thought she was gonna then come and follow him, but so I would probably have her like leave the house and go and find him. But I like this. So I'm curious if I extract. Okay, so I could extract the chapters. I'd have to delete some stuff, but it could work. I could extract the characters. Um, um, I'm just gonna say, let's make a brief bio for Elspeth and Arthur. Let's see if it understands brief. And then I'm gonna take chapter 1, copy that. I'll just add this in here for now. I'll delete after. Okay. Wow, it's that. I mean, that's a bit more than brief, but sure. Let me say this. Gemini 3 protagonists. Okay. Sure. Amazing. Okay, let's go with this. So my thoughts are with this is to go and um I feel like I want to go in now and I'm just going to add a new chapter, move it to the front so we don't worry about context. I'm going to add in my chapter summary. I think what I'll do is I'll try with the general purpose prompt, see how that does with Gemini 3, and then I'll try like one of my personal prompts that I'm working on. I think that might be so we'll keep this. We're going to keep the scene as it's given us like Gemini. Um I'm going to add as context snippets, Gemini 3 protagonists, and key things. I'm then going to go and say, let's write 1,750 words. So we're wanting kind of between 1,500 and 2,000. So I'm just going to go bang in the middle. And then I'm going to select Gemini 3 Pro. Generate. So things I'm looking for here, how it adheres to the word count. And how good the writing quality is. If the characters feel, in character. Okay, so um, I'm kind of curious about my protagonists. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so for Ovi, I think it's quite hard sometimes to evaluate creative writing because it's so subjective in the like what one person likes another person doesn't. But yeah, I mean absolutely we need more creative writing benchmarks. EQ bench very good. um we are also working on updating our current benchmark, but okay, so 2,300, so that's more than I wanted. Let's just see if it gives an entire scene. Like, I don't mind having to cut a little bit out if it's there. um I feel like this introduction is a little bit like it could have started with a bit more like action. Like it's not that an engaging a start. However, we've not given it any instructions on how to write an engaging start. Um okay, that feels okay. Hen feels a bit more northeast England, but I guess maybe it also goes into um um is hen used as a term of endearment in Scotland? Let's take a look. Okay, it is. That's fine. So it is used in Scotland, so it's picked a correct one. I love that they've got they've brought in the characters. 3.50 for fish and chips. Oh my god. This is not current. Um okay, a little bit on the nose talking about this. That's fine. We can Although, okay, that is a TikTok start. Uh, okay, guys, we are live at the Puffin for Chips, the only place in Fife where the batter is crispier than your ex's heart. The comments went wild for it last week. Someone said it was oddly satisfying and borderline surgical. Um, we could be the next Binley Mega Chippy. I'm kind of curious now if this was actually a chippy that went viral. So let's take a look. I know I'm doing this all on a different screen. Binley Mega Chippy exists. It is a current chippy. Um, it went viral on Instagram. So that actually is a thing. Okay, so that's cool to know that it's mentioning actual real life things, events, I guess, viral fascinations. There were news articles about it, so there is content for that could have been trolled to then get this. Okay, yeah. Um, Last Tourist. Ooh, okay. I like this. It wasn't a glittery swirl of Disney dust. It was biology, rapid and aggressive, her knees buckled, the large bones of her thighs short and snapping and reforming with wet crunches that sounded like breaking celery. Her spine compressed, hunching over her, forcing her chest out. The cold air vanished. A sudden intense heat flooded her as follicles erupted, pushing thick, waterproof down through her skin. The sensation was like the plunging in a warm bath. Her arms retracted, fingers fusing and lengthening, skin stretching into stiff, powerful planes. Her nose and jaw pushed forward, calcifying, hardening into a broad, colourful triangular plate. The world shifted. Her vision sharpened, the dark cove suddenly awash in shades of ultraviolet she couldn't name in a human tongue. The sound of the waves wasn't a dull roar anymore. It was a textured symphony of crashes, bubbles, and scuttling of crabs on the seabed. She wasn't Elspeth the Chipiona. She was plumage and hunger. She let out a low guttural growl, a puffin's grunt, and waddled to the water's edge. On land, she was ridiculous, top-heavy, stumbling on bright orange webbed feet that felt too big for her body. She tripped over a pebble, flapping her wings uselessly, and tumbled chest first into the surf. Grace arrived the moment the water took her. She didn't swim, she flew. Her wings beat against the water, denser than air, but yielding to her strength, she torpedoed downwards, a black and white missile. The cold was nothing. The pressure was a hug. Below the sea was a dark forest of kelp and silver flashes. Okay. She banked left, using her webbed feet as rudders, banking past a startled seal that looked suspiciously like Uncle Angus. She ignored him. He was too slow. I'm I'm happy. Okay, I like that. See, this is interesting to me, and that might be just an issue of I think setting up a story is always a little bit harder. But I like this. I think this could work. I like this. Tomorrow, this will be battered, fried, and served with pickled onion. Tonight, it was just evidence that she was still top of the food chain. Okay, I'm liking this. I think there's definitely bits of the prose. So I'm seeing okay, so this detailed description of the evening rush, I would change this. I think that's just a thing in the description. Um, so I might get rid of detailed. Um, we're just giving it a little tweak. I feel that a lot of how slow this was is a matter of the beat rather than of Gemini Pro. So what I'm going to do now is try one of my um one minute, I need to add now, something that's always worth noting is that every AI model, because they've been trained differently, there is a need for slightly different prompting. So, what works well with GPT-5 might not work well for Gemini or Sonnet, that kind of thing. After Saturday's stream, I did start looking at the GPT prompting and like how to tweak like the general purpose prompt to make it more. I And that did help with like the word count, but then it made it too structured, you know? So there is a difference. I really like when a model is flexible, but it does help to have some guidance. So always look up the API information or like see if there's any guidance on prompting from the AI provider, like the company that made the AI, because they're going to give you tips because they want you to succeed. So even just a quick like Google or internet search, and you should find some stuff. You might even be able to use that model to search. And like, I often use a model to be like, can you improve the prompting of this prompt to work things out? You know, that kind of thing. Okay, so again, the word count is over. If it's written a full scene, I'm not mad about that. I think sometimes, like, depending on the amount that we've given it, then makes it have a full story. Yeah. Okay, so immediately this feels a little bit better. It feels more immediate. Okay, I like that. That's already just a bit sassy. Come on, love. The fish is getting cold and I'm getting old. I'm sorry, I can't do a Scottish accent, so you're getting generic northern. I need the sizzle, Elspeth. The sizzle. TikTok goes crazy for the ASMR of raw fish hitting the batter. It's visceral. It's texture. It's a health hazard if you drop that phone in the fryer. Um, and I'm not becoming a meme. Not again. Okay, I love the idea that she has been a meme. You weren't a meme. You were a mood. The unbothered chip shop queen got us 300 followers. People love your energy. It's very cottagecore meets grease trap. I'm thrilled. Okay, this is a bit funnier. Um, My story is that I wake up, I peel potatoes, I feed tourists, and then I sleep. It's not exactly HBO material. That's what you think. You have vibes, mysterious vibes. You disappear every night the second we close. You never eat the fish. You smell like the ocean even before you go to work. It's giving mermaid. Okay, I love this idea that even as joking, they're kind of like getting like some kind of supernatural vibes. I like that. I think there is a bit of humor. Obviously, this is now using a prompt that is designed for like these cozier bits of writing. It makes a difference. It's sounds a bit more like me. But I don't know about you guys, but this is good for a Gemini model. Like 90% of the time, if I'm using Gemini, it's in chat, it's analyzing, it's working on nonfiction, it's planning. I don't use Gemini for writing. Like I'll be in chat doing something, and the moment I need to like actually do the changes to my work, I'll switch to Sonnet or Opus. I don't stay with Gemini. I would consider staying with Gemini with this. I think this is interesting. There is some humor. Um, Obviously we can see there are some AI-isms. There's always going to be some. It's funny that there's like three in the same sentence, you know. Um, But the algorithm waits for no one. A little bit stereotypical, but again, we've not really given much information. I feel like the essence of the character is very much there. Um, now I'm like, where is Saint Moran? That's Glasgow. Oh, that's Saint Mirren. Okay, so there is no Saint Moran. I'm now curious if it's made up a place. Because I thought I mean, maybe we've not specified Pit and Weem. Um, or it's just made, yeah. So this seems to be not a real life place. But yeah. Okay, so Ovi says, "What's your hope for the space?" I know it was just me being unrealistic optimistic, but I was really hopeful by this point we would be able to one shot shorter books with full coherency. I mean, we I don't know, we could I mean, like, I feel like one-shotting, I don't know. I mean, I could try and one-shot, but I feel like I personally, as a writer, like to have more of an input. Um, I've never I guess I've never had the interest in writing a prompt to one-shot. I think with this, like, I'm reading through this, I could probably, without editing, go to the next chapter and, like, do it chapter by chapter. Um Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, I think one-shotting is as much a matter of the prompting as it is the AI, and I think you would probably need a software that does, or you would need to use, like, something like Nathan, or Zapier to set up prompts, but that's not one-shotting, that's then multi-shotting, but automated. So, um, I mean, I'll have an experiment, 1 minute. Ovi, give me a moment just to have a think. And okay, I like that. Um, let's have a go. Let's have a play. Write a short story about um a fisher woman in Pit and Weem who. Oh, is that what Ovi is saying about, like, this space is in Novelcrafter or this space is in AI? Yeah, we're not ever gonna plan to do one-shotting. Um, I saw a news article about a dog who helps on a boat, um, that was adopted. So that's fair. I mean, but yeah, our hope is we want to be able to help and take writers from the start to the end of their writing process and give them, like, empower them to be able to tell the story they want to tell. We're not intending to be able to just click a button and write it straight away. We want to, give you the tools to help. Like, we've got the codex. Whether you want to use AI or not, Novelcrafter will help you organize your story and be able to write it. Okay, I like that it's got quirks and plot points. I mean, this is a very short story. So that's very short. Um, okay, let's expand this short story. Um, make it 5,000 words. So now we've gone from it's not one-shotting, but you can do that kind of thing with Novelcraft if you want to. Like, it's not um impossible. I mean, I'm okay, interesting. Okay, that's fascinating that it's saying that it's got this limit. Obviously it doesn't have a that limit because it's writing more, but it's fascinating that it's kind of got this um self-awareness. Um I'm okay, and so now we know Elspeth has come up twice. This seems to be some kind, maybe it's an AIism. Like, the fact that the name has come up twice is interesting. Maybe it's because it's a Scottish name. Um, I'm Tam, 3rd Chancellor of the Isle of Mail, Keeper of Eels, and currently a refugee from that rather nasty bit of weather outside. I'm afraid the weather may have followed me here. Do you have any biscuits? The ginger kind. I find they help with the terror. Well, the dog's expression seems to say, get the man a biscuit. I mean, it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's I think there's some interesting things with this. So, okay, guys, we need to all get together now. What are our conclusions from this stream to help like sum up for people like the TLDR, for people who don't want to like listen to the entire hour? What are your takeaways from seeing Gemini 3 in action? Um, so for me, absolutely better when you do more detailed prompting. I think that's true of any AI model. I think you do need to tell it what you want. If you just give it a generic prompt, you're going to get generic responses. Um, it seemed to understand location. Um, it had access to that information. Um, the ideas were, I felt, quite unique. Maybe if I rolled them 10 times, that would change. But I like these. Um, I think there is potential with the outline, like, it feels like an entire story. I would probably want to edit bits if I wasn't doing this as a one shot, but it seems to have followed the premise of what I wanted. It feels like something you would read in Kindle Unlimited, and it's nice, it's cozy, it's fantasy. I like the characters. It seems to know about puns, always good. Um, it was able to identify theme. I like the secondary characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 characters. Um, okay, so it's included scene beats, individual beats. So that's fascinating as well. So it seems like um in its training data, Gemini 3 now seems to like know what a scene beat is in the sense of like in terms of writing, because like scene beats originally were used in um film, but now it's being used here. I'm kind of curious if that's a it knowing scene beats are used in um I might actually um I'm kind of curious if there's a reason it's used scene beats now. I like the characters. I think they are there. Um, I do kind of want to see if these like any of these names are AI-isms, or like frequent of stuff. Okay, that's fascinating. Okay. Um, Book outline a beat is the smallest unit of bread, smallest unit of scene. If I told you chapter 3 they meet in the shop, you might just write 500 words and run out of things to say by listing the beats and giving you a step-by-step map of the emotional changes. There are actually two ways the word is used in books, so it's good to know the difference. There's structural beats of things that happen and action beats during writing. They're like a term for the small physical actions you write instead of dialogue tags. Okay, this is interesting to know. Is it specific to genre? No, but it is heavily used in romance, like Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes and thrillers. These generally rely on strict pacing, so knowing exactly what happens in each beat ensures the story never gets boring. For your cozy fantasy, using beats ensures you don't just have people drinking tea for 10 pages. It forces you to make sure something happens um, in the relationship or plot while they're drinking that tea. Okay, I'm really happy with that. I think that's a good explanation. And also, like, given how unspecific my question is, actually, I like how well it explained that as an answer. Okay. In terms of writing, when there was no guidance, and the beat was not great, okay, wait. I'm gonna see if making those tweaks to the beat would have made a difference to the prose generated before I like, judge too harshly. Let's see. Let's pause before we go too harsh. Obviously it's taking a bit of time to think. We're using the high thinking version. It might change. Um, Chips are basic, guts are aesthetic. Wow. There's definitely a difference. I think the beginning is definitely better than it was. It's a little bit I think there is needed to be prompt just to kind of shorten things. Some bits aren't quite cozy. I feel like the description of the transformation is a little bit gory, maybe, but it's interesting. Um, this is also kept the word count better. So yeah, I would go with my thoughts for this would be okay. So it's not adhering to the word count. It's overshooting, but it's doing that to write a complete scene. Um, it isn't adding. It's finishing where it's meant to. and starting where it's meant to. So it's following instructions. Um, I feel like it shows the dual atmosphere. It's added in characters, even when I've not specified that these characters should be in. So it's taking context. It's not tried to introduce anything too soon. Um, it understood Scottish slang, and it had the reference to that fish and chip shop, the Binley song, in there. So that's also a it's using its own knowledge to feed into this, which is I think that's quite interesting. In the sense of like if you're doing something in the modern day, you're gonna get those nuances. I need to spend some time reading the prose and like that's not interesting to read or to view to get um a full like impression of it. It seems that the AIisms that Gemini uses are very different to how Sonnet was. Um, there's probably AIisms that come through that I'd need to like have a little look at and make a new list. I worry that Elspeth now is an AIism because it came up in both stories, but I love the name. It's so cute. But yeah, I like overall conclusion. I like this much more than GPT 5.1, indefinitely. I might quickly go into chat, add as the context, chapter 1, Gemini 3. I have 3 versions of the same scene. Can you analyze each and help me determine which is best? Give me the first make a set of criteria for engaging prose, then analyze 1, 2, and 3. And then before I do that, I'm just going to make sure I've named these. So this is my final thing I'm going to do before I go and have dinner. Okay, so first to judge this fairly, we need to set up some rules or criteria for what makes this story work. Since this is a cozy fantasy, the writing needs to balance magical elements with warm, real-world feeling. Sensory immersion, do the readers feel like they're there? Do Elspeth and Maisie sound distinct? Um, how does the shape-shifting feel? In this genre, it should feel physical and grounded, not a sparkle of dust, pacing and flow, stakes and tension. So this is leaning heavily into the contrast between the modern world and Elspeth's ancient nature. It's focusing more on Elspeth's internal thoughts and exhaustion, which to be fair, my prompt does, on like internal thoughts. Oh, okay, that's fair. Losing the fish makes it feel sad. Um, I wasn't as a fan of the opening. So what it determines as good and bad might depend on how it is. So this would definitely be a moment where I would start kit bashing. Um, okay, now analyze for writing quality, reader engagement, hooks, etc. It may fit the genre, but it also needs to be a good read. Which is best? Curious to see if this makes any changes. I know I said I was going to finish, but there's too many things that are interesting and I want to find out. She says, staring at her phone while this is happening. But, I've run out of tea, so sad times. Okay, cliche phrases. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it understands about opening lines. That's good. Very interesting. I think that's cool. It's interesting to know. Thank you everyone for coming. Yeah, I think that was an interesting tale. I don't know if we've fully got thoughts on Gemini 3. I'm going to spend some more time with it later. I'm going to go off and have a night off. So tomorrow I will play around with it a bit more. I think there is a lot of possibility with Gemini 3. I think it is a natural upgrade from Gemini 2.5 if you use that. So that's good. Yeah, it's definitely better at prose than Gemini 2.5. So that's, at least for me, that's good. It does feel like they've done something different with this model. So we'll see. I'm very excited to see how it goes. So yeah, it should be on Open Router very soon. And then you'll just need to add it to your model collection. You can see how I did that in the beginning of this video or on our model collections video. And yeah, and then you'll be able to have a play. Let me know in the comments if you've had a go with Gemini, if you've got to the end, I guess. I mean, I'm really excited to see what you all do with it. Okay. Bye, everyone.